The chair recognizes myself for 5 minutes. Director Davis, is it true that the U.S. Marshals Service is responsible for the care, control, and custody of the January 6 detainees?
Thank you for that question, Mr. Chairman. It would be for those that are still pending trial, yes.
Very good. Okay. Are you aware of a Lieutenant Crystal Lancaster?
Offhand, no, I'm not.
Okay, fair enough. What about a Mr. Ronald Colton Maccabee, this former deputy behind me, who is a January 6 inmate at the D.C. Department of Corrections?
Mr. Chairman, I am not. I'll just remind you that we do have over 59,000 people in our
Fair
custody.
enough. I just asked you a question. You're aware, you're not. Director Davis, on September 5th, 2022, at around 11:45 a.m., in the D.C. Department of Corrections, Lieutenant Lancaster confronted Mr. Maccabee at the medical cart for not wearing his face mask. So we were in the height of COVID. I got it. Not having his face mask. It is my understanding that Lieutenant Lancaster then deployed her handheld OC spray, sprayed it all into his face at close range. It's been reported Lieutenant Lancaster intentionally used these chemical agents several times against Mr. Maccabee without any provocation. As a former sheriff, did it for a long, long time, 30 years. So I want to talk a little bit about the use of this chemical agent, these OC sprays. In the use of force model, the use of force continuum, it would require that even if an inmate is passivity, the restraint, he's not being physically assaultive, an officer would not be authorized to use these chemical munitions unless the inmate was assaultive. If video footage were to show that Mr. Maccabee was not assaultive, would Lieutenant Lancaster have violated Colton's civil rights under the color of law?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, Mr. Chairman?
Would Lieutenant Lancaster have violated Mr. Colton's civil rights under the color of law if he was not showing any type of assaultive behavior?
Thank you for the question. I'm not in a position to respond to or talk about any specific investigation.
Okay, all right. Do you know so you don't know this Lieutenant Lancaster, placed on administrative leave, like right away, placed on administrative leave. I placed deputies on, I had 600 or so. I placed them on administrative leave when there was some type of an investigation. Lieutenant Lancaster is on administrative leave, which I learned she was placed on it immediately after this incident, but I don't know where she is now, and apparently you wouldn't know either where this individual would be today that's been placed on administrative leave after the incident.
Thank you again. I just reminder that the custodial facilities are run by, not run by the Marshals.
January 2023, I had an opportunity to visit the D.C. jail. Spent about an hour there, spoke with the director, Thomas Faust. Are you familiar with Thomas Faust?
Yes, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
he's the director. He and I got along. He's a former sheriff, I'm a former sheriff. We just connected right away. Great, great individual. The guys in the jail seem to be pretty concerned. I went into the pod where these J6 detainees, we learned that the officers all wear body cameras, so everybody has a body camera on in the D.C. jail. And Director Faust said the footage between Mr. Maccabee and Lieutenant Lancaster existed, because I was concerned about this incident. People complained about it. The wife reached out to me and said, hey, my husband was sprayed with foam. He's a former lawman. He served 7 years. In fact, he later told me that I could come down and view the footage. I said, I got some complaints here. Let me come down and view the footage of this Lancaster spraying this, see if we have any issues. Later was retracted. You haven't seen the footage then, I'm assuming?
No, I have not.
Okay. In January, my staff FOIA'd this camera footage from both the U.S. Marshals and the Department of Corrections. The U.S. Marshals, who you oversee J6 detainees, denied our request and stated that it fell within the D.C. DOC. We accepted it, thought it was okay. However, the DOC later denied our request and appeal because, quote, a release of such footage would constitute as a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy and is exempt from disclosure. I've got a release here from the wife. It's all here. He signed it. Said, I'd like to see the video footage, right? He signed this congressional privacy disclosure to release the footage. I have it here. Lieutenant Lancaster is a public employee. The D.C. Mayor's office determined Mr. Maccabee's privacy disclosure form was ambiguous since the D.C. DOC is not a federal agency. Mr. Maccabee's detainee of the U.S. Marshal, up underneath you. And I find this to be a severe departure from the truth and a blatant excuse not to release the footage. My point is this, is that we have a problem here. I got complaints from the wife, got complaints from the inmate under your custody inside the D.C. jail, right? And now we can't get this footage. It stinks. It seems like she's on administrative leave. We got a problem. We have a severe problem. And my point is this. I'm not really even asking you I'm demanding that you call the DC DOC to release the footage on one of your detainees. We should have a right to see this. If it's bad news and you don't like what it shows, we got to confess up to it. We got a problem here. In fact, I'm going to make it my personal mission to use every subpoena power that I can get from this committee to get this footage. I apologize to this gentleman. I apologize to his wife, Sarah, for having to go through this with no answers or help. So can I get a commitment from you that we're going to look into this? I have your assurance that we're going to look into this and get this video footage, because if not, I've got to go to DOJ. I don't care. I have to go to whoever, because I think we have a problem here, and it seems like it's being covered up.
If I just may start by saying that I share your priority to make sure that those that are in our custody are treated humanely and within federal standards, and if there is misconduct, we are committed to investigating all allegations of misconduct. I will commit my team to work with yours to see how we can be responsive to your request. But as also mentioned, we have our 60,000 detainees in some 1,800 facilities. And so we also have to work with the local jurisdiction as well. But I am definitely committed to working with your team on that.
Very good. My team will get with one of you in the back of you before we leave this hearing. All right, I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director, thank you for being here. I want to go back to kind of a theme a little bit about the Supreme Court detail that y'all have provided. In May of 2022, Merrick Garland, of course, as you discussed, issued or directed the Marshals Service to provide around-the-clock security for the judges. And in light of, particularly, the leak of the Dobbs decision, Director, why do you think people protest? What is the point, not the reason why, or not the specific issue, but why do you think people generally protest in this country?
Thank you, Congressman, for that question. I don't think I'm in a position to speak for why.
It's to impact change, it's to impact policy. Is that correct? I mean, that's probably why they don't just go out there for nothing. They go out there to impact something, right? They go out there to make their voice heard and create change that they want, right? That's the point of a protest.
I can't specifically speak to that.
That's fine, and we can play this. We can play this game. So the question is Senator Katie Britt, back in March of last year, had a conversation with the Attorney General about some slides that were created for the Marshals in the training up to the protection of these justices. Are you aware of that? Are you aware of the slides, first of all?
I'm aware of the slides that the Senator brought forward, yes.
Okay. Did the Department of Justice create those slides, or was it the U.S. Marshals that created those slides?
The training provided to the deputies on that assignment was provided by the Marshal Service at my direction and with my career professionals who, by the way, I think did a tremendous job, as that mission has been met every day for about 400 days, and they've been very successful.
So were there instructions not to arrest protesters given by you or someone else with the Marshals?
The direction provided to the deputies, and if I can say, it's been over 1,700 deputies have rotated through this assignment. And the message to them was very clear. It's the same as the Attorney General gave me. Protect the lives of the justices and their families. Deputies always retain full authority to enforce the law, but take no action that will compromise their safety. That was the heart and soul of the training.
Right, so here's the rub that I have, and the problem that I have, Director, is that for a month, protests are happening outside of justices' homes in a leak of a Dobbs decision that was not yet decided, presumably, right? And so, are you aware of 18 U.S. Code 1507?
Yes, I am.
What does that say?
I'm going to paraphrase, allow me to do that.
Yeah.
And basically, anyone that pickets or parades with the intent to interfere, obstruct, basically, it doesn't say just Supreme Court, any court official. Correct. Right, at their place where they're presiding or where they're residing or may be at.
Right, and so they could be arrested, presumably, under that code section, correct?
Yes, they could.
They could be fined according to that code section, right?
Yes.
So why was that not done here?
If I may go again, once again, the primary mission for the Marshal Service given by the Attorney General was the protection of the Supreme Court justices' lives and that of their family.
Look, I don't dispute the mission, and thank you for what you've done to protect their lives. But they have received death threats, have they not?
I can't speak to the rest of it.
That's in the media. So they have received death threats. There have been arrests. But the whole point is the code section is pretty cut and dry to me. There's no ambiguity within the code section. It says that if you protest or picket outside of a judge's or justice's homes, that they can be arrested. And so these justices, in fear for their lives, are like confined to their homes with these people outside that are threatening their lives, picketing outside. Y'all protected them, but I think the question is, why would we even issue guidance from the U.S. Marshals that is contrary to code that was passed by Congress in, I think, 1994?
Thank you again. The guidance given to the deputies would be to protect the lives of the justices. It was a protective mission to protect the lives of the justices, as the Attorney General has said repeatedly, and I will say again, retaining full authority to enforce the law as long as any action they take did not compromise the safety of the justices. And as the Attorney General also mentioned, I will say again, is the decision on whether to take action and whether that action compromises the safety has to be made by the deputy in the field at the time.
Director, this is where I have a little bit of an issue, because the law is pretty clear. The law says that you will arrest people for picketing outside of a judge's or justice's home with the intent of influencing their decision. This was a leak of a decision that had not yet been decided, and y'all look, I'm all for protecting the free speech. I encourage it, but if you look at this statute, it is very clear. The directive is clear that you shall arrest people who are doing these things outside of a judge's home with the intent to influence a decision. That was not done, and that's deeply concerning to me and the American people. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Phố đêm đèn mơ răng răng, màu trắng như vì sao gối đầu ngủ yên. Phố đêm nhiều lần suy tư, ghi nhớ còn trong đời những ngày thương tích lớn. Mây đen làm úa trắng gầy, cho nên còn tiếng say mềm trước thềm ngàn lời vu vơ. Vì người hay mơ dòng đời như thơ. Nhớ ngày nào nắng ngủ trên cây, tường lá vàng úa tàn. Mây bơ vơ bay khắp nẻo vô tình, cho người yêu ước mơ. Người đi khai phá nét kiêu sa, tuy lính chiến xa nhà mà vẫn luôn yêu đời. Bằng câu ca tiếng cười tìm vui trong giấc mơ, dù bâng khuâng chữ ngờ. Phố đêm lạc loài hương yêu, chìm đắm như hàng cây giá lạnh ướt mềm. Phố đêm chờ người phong sương, chinh chiến từ lâu rồi, có niềm riêng hay ước. Cho tôi 10 ngón thiên thần, cho tôi 10 ngón thiên thần, để rồi dìu người tôi yêu, dìu người không yêu và người chưa yêu. vàng úa tàn. Mây bơ vơ bay khắp nẻo vô tình cho người yêu ước mơ. Người đi khai phá nét kiêu sa, tuy lính chiến xa nhà mà vẫn luôn yêu đời. Bằng câu ca tiếng cười tìm vui trong giấc mơ, dù bâng khuâng chữ ngờ. Phố đêm lạc loài hương yêu, chìm đắm như hàng cây giá lạnh ướt mềm. Phố đêm chờ người phong sương, chinh chiến từ lâu rồi, có niềm riêng hay ước cho tôi 10 ngón thiên thần, cho tôi 10 ngón thiên thần. Để rồi dìu người tôi yêu, dìu người không yêu và người chưa yêu. Để rồi dìu người tôi yêu, dìu người không yêu và người chưa